Thank you. That was the whole day. We have been listening some examples, practices, and some are actually already operational, like BRAC, like SafePay. The Morocco funds are doing this as well. But the theme of our conference is the potential role of remittances in achieving the Millennium Development Goals, and there are 8 goals in the MDGs. What would you think? Manuel mentioned about the essential of the health, education, and others would go to 8. Global partnership would be reduce poverty. What do you think? Would remittances be really a focus kind of thing, meaning to be effective, to be sustainable, to have a strategic plan, like remittances just focus on investments, for instance, which most of the attention is being given at the moment, like the money transfer, financial inclusion, or the migrants can as well support health, education, but the development agency says that is the role of the government. Why should the migrants support health, education, etc., when this is the primary role of the government? Why should remittances be spent? What is the importance? But I know most of the migrants are really pouring their resources on these basic necessities. So do you agree with me or not? Or maybe you said health, but I think who would like to answer first, and then you discuss.
Just to make sure what Manuel is about to say. Just one thing, remittances are not a substitute for aid, because first, they're not aid. These are private flows, person to person. Aid is to public, so it's different. The role is different. Productive use of remittances, well, it's been productive for many years. It's to eat, it's to pay the bills, is to do what if it wasn't there, you would have a social crisis in the country that are being received. So they're different. So none is going to replace. So I must disagree with the Dutch government here statement by saying that we should cut one. We need both, remittances and aid. They're different. So let's not confuse what aid does, and let's not confuse what remittances do. The collective remittances or migrant capital, being basically the savings that migrants have and they want to invest in their country, that's something else. So you would better not start calling it remittances. That's migrant capital, call it whatever you want, but it's different. It definitely should be. It's an instrument that should be reckoned with, and more possibilities for that money to be used. And I think that's the point. The other that I just want to say is remittances are not the better model for a development strategy or for a country. Nobody likes to say that they're number one. The Philippines are not really fighting to know who receives more, if they're number one in remittances, with Mexico or not, or India, because that just means that you don't have enough local economic activity, let's say enough jobs to keep your people, and they have to leave. And normally a migrant doesn't leave their country because they don't like their country. It's because they normally love their country. This is why they want to invest back there. But the issue here has to be understood in that sense. And remittances, again, is the bubble at the surface of the lake. The main trouble people discuss about the benefits or not of remittances, if I may just say, remittances is financial flows, looking for financial products, basically. It's more options. Everybody here has many plastic cards in their, my ex-boss used to say that, but you have plastic cards in your wallets, you're full of financial options, and you're enjoying financial democracy. And I think remittances can help millions of people to achieve that. And finally, maybe what I would like to say in the fact that these are private funds is that maybe I would like to let Manuel actually continue on this one, but just to finish this virtuous cycle, when I was saying that remittances are the bubble at the surface of the lake, the lack of local economic activity creates migration. That creates remittances. remittances, then you can put it whatever you want, negative or positive, will go back to where this lack of economic activity exists. And you have a circle with a movement pattern. If you want to cut that, you can do it by leveraging it at the moment of remittances go back. So if that helps having that phenomenon in the wheel of the lack of opportunities, economic opportunities, if remittances can help reduce that, create new jobs by being invested and so forth in many other ways, then you reduce the necessity for migration and therefore the dependency on remittances. And this is a phenomenon that takes time, but so far we've been going to the moon and we did many other magnificent things, but right now this is what people are saying is leveraging remittances. Specifically, you can do it in that way. But again, remittances is part of that wheel and is not the wheel itself.
Just to follow up, I think, Laila, I don't think it's really useful to link remittances with the Millennium Development Goals, because the Millennium Development Goals are basically one of many operational strategies to tackle development. But that's what they are. They are a strategic approach. Remittances are a reality based on the problems of poverty. And they don't play an operational role. They play an instrumental role, and instrumentally, they do have an effect in addressing these goals on development. But they don't just address those MDGs, they address broader issues of development. And even in the more practical sense, remittances do more in many cases than the MDGs. For example, they allow people to go through college. So the issue of primary education is irrelevant to most households in remittance recipient households anywhere in the world. So I think operationally it's not a good idea. But if you think of the MDGs as an approach that migrant associations, not remittances, can pursue in a way that they can promote development, then I stick to my 4 recommendations at the start. Increase your education about development and learn about the MDGs as a one step to do that. 2, make the MDGs accountable by learning from governments how people are complying to the implementation of the goals. 3, make at least one of your projects dealing with development to be compatible with the MDGs. And 4, look for partnerships with different international organizations to work on these issues. But I think, in my perspective, if you want to emphasize the MDGs rather than development, the focus should be on migrants and migrant associations. If you want to emphasize remittances rather than the MDGs, then the focus should be development, not the MDGs, and leveraging remittances for development at large.
Yeah, I want to react. I think there's a clear relationship between remittances and several Millennium Development Goals. The first one, poverty alleviation, is I think the clearest one. Remittance increases the purchasing power of the recipient, but also it enables the recipient to make use of educational services, health services, and I think there is a clear relationship with those Millennium Development Goals as well.